indeed a pleasure and honor to share the dais with such esteemed speakers. So to all the dignitaries in the dais and all the esteemed people who have assembled here. So my thoughts on sustainable development. Every time I land in Kerala, either in Trivandrum or Cochin, from the flight, when you see the aerial view, you never fail to get inspired by the green and the large expanse of natural beauty on the tarmac, around the tarmac. So I reaffirm my faith in the theme of God's own, God's own country, and never fails to inspire me. But we shouldn't get comfortably numb, is what I think. Although we have, done a lot in the past in terms of our development and in our, the welfare policies and the welfare development of the state. Indeed, we are leaders in that space, Kerala, but if you look at the gaps, I mean, it's always good to have introspective mode of thinking at times and put that cap on and be a little self-critical and look at where we can actually go beyond all of this that we've already achieved. So I think one is, of course, the topic that you mentioned about the urbanization, which is my core strength. In my first half of my career, in which I did a lot of planning for various local self-bodies. So, as we all know, Kerala is this one huge, I would say, not a rural, not urban, but a urban continuum of cities melting into towns, towns melting into cities, and then thereon with villages and vice versa. So, it's one big expanse of peri-urbanization that you see in Kerala. So that has had its own set of complications. Although we've had bylaws in place, we've had our master plans in place, but with all due regard to all the authorities and the planners and the bureaucrats, there has been very little adherence to these plans and master plans, as well as the building bylaws that have been designed by the town planning authority, and then after which it was handed over to the local self-government. And Kerala has been a pioneer in local self-governance and implementing the 74th Amendment in letter and spirit. But, however, we also need to look at the capacity of these local self-bodies, which from the time I finished my master's in the 90s, late 90s, we've heard about making our local bodies self-capacitated and bringing a cadre of professionals into the local self-bodies. So I think we still have a long way to go in that, even if it is Kerala, which is the leader or the pioneer in local self-governance model. So I think there is where the lacuna lies in capacitating our local self-bodies, the Grama Panchayats or the municipalities, and helping them understand the plans and helping them understand the importance of adhering to building bylaws so that it doesn't lead to haphazard urbanization and thereafter the ripple effects of man-made disasters. So I think that is the other point. And the other point is also when we look at sustainable development, it's not just the goals in which we've done well, Kerala, which is education and gender and institutions and justice, etc. But if you look at the SDG 8 and 9, that is the industrial infrastructure and the MSME's economic growth, is where we are still lagging behind. So what is the reason for that? We are endowed with huge resources of coir, coconut, rubber, and all of that, and handloom. But where have we lagged behind in actually getting them there to the next level of performance? So I think that's where we need to reflect upon, and I'll come back to the theme of capacitating our local self-bodies and looking at the concept of local economic development, which is actually identifying one district in every, one product in every district, like the ODOP model, which is actually it's a very good, powerful theme, but if implemented well. So if we actually identify one resource in every district, and since Kerala has this huge base of NRIs settled across the globe, so we can actually invite our non-resident Indians and investors to come back and invest in their own villages and identify one particular resource and hone them and take it to the next level of the MSME space. And I think that way, if we actually achieve saturation in every district, like Jyotilalji mentioned about zero waste and zero, models of development, we look at the other spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is 100% saturation of economic, social, and basic amenities. I think that way, we would really achieve sustainable development in its true letter and spirit. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.